So we're going to move away from the indie game stuff a little bit today, and I'm going to talk about a game that just really defined me and my musical taste growing up, and something that has just a lot of nostalgia for me. So today I want to talk about
Jet Set Radio!
Jet Set Radio was just so fucking cool. I wasn't even a teenager yet when I was introduced to this game, and I still distinctly remember the feeling of it blowing my goddamn mind. Have you ever had one of those experiences where you know something has altered you down to your very foundation? That may be exaggerating my experience a bit, but looking back at the kind of music I listened to, it's clear to see the impact this game had on me. My musical taste before that point consisted of top 40 bullshit, and whatever hip alt-rock my brother passed on to me. So the funky, hip-hop ridiculousness that this game threw my way blew my undeveloped mind, and dramatically influenced my taste as a whole.
Y'all ready to get funky?
Okay, sorry. Once again, I'm getting ahead of myself here. That's becoming a reoccurring thing. First things first.
So now let us listen to the music and identify the beats.
1, 2, 3.
But that was too soft.
Taking it in today, this game is a shotgun blast to the senses, and an excellent antithesis to the drab and uninspired big-budget AAA experiences we've come to expect in the modern gaming age. Jet Set Radio is a colorful, weird, and stylish original IP that pioneered the cel-shaded visual style. The game presented something radically new and just downright radical to gamers, and it represents the kind of unique experiences that you don't really see happening outside of the indie scene nowadays. It's the kind of experience that gives me justification to wax nostalgic about it for like 10 minutes on a dumb internet video. There's not a whole lot of preface that needs to be said to explain Jet Set Radio. As you can see, it stars a bunch of young skating street punks, whose style comes straight from the imagination of what people in the 90s thought we would dress like in the future. Like everybody who's young and has a fondness for extreme sports, naturally these skaters wield cans of spray paint and have a singular goal of inflicting as much property damage as possible. Along the way, they have to avoid cops who employ absurd force in relation to who they're trying to keep in line, and who must have way too much free time on their hands. Basically, it's an old-school turf war story, and the entire thing is told by an eccentric DJ who runs the pirate broadcast, the titular Jet Set Radio.
It's a territory. Territory is a territory. Territory is a territory.
It's ridiculous, and it's absolutely supposed to be. It came about at the apex of the skating craze, and it took it to absurd levels. Admittedly, the game hasn't aged the greatest. The skating mechanic feels pretty clunky, and the controls take a lot of finagling to get used to. So those controls end up adding a lot of difficulty to a game that ends up being pretty difficult as it is already. The stages are timed, and most of the levels ask you to tag a bunch of different points scattered around. The bigger designs require timed control stick movements, and the pressure of it all sets in when you're trying to finish up one of the larger designs while being chased down by foot soldiers, fucking paratroopers, goddamn tanks, and holy shit helicopters? Jesus Christ! Did I mention the cops have too much time on their hands? It's very stressful. You're wrestling with the janky controls and trying to dodge a stupid amount of cops, while quelling that burning desire in your youthful anarchistic heart to paint the fuck out of Neo-Tokyo. But you know the drill by now. You know exactly what I'm going to say next. What steps up to make everything I just described make total sense?
Oh, I can see them run by the town. I can hear them all say, listen to the music.
Whew, okay. That was a lot to get through. finally, the reason why you came here, assuming you came here on your own free will, which is statistically unlikely, by now you've heard a sampling of what music this game brings to the table. It integrated itself into the game's atmosphere and style in 3 different ways. The chase, the cool, and the funky.
Even if sometimes it looks so
Those 3 things define the structure of the music's implementation. First, let's talk about the chase.
the guys in town.
The main pressure of this game deals with the military forces out to ruin your day. God forbid any property damage or expression hits any public buildings, and God help you if they catch you with a can of spray paint in your hand. When the difficulty starts to kick in, the majority of the graffiti you do happens while simultaneously being pursued by armed forces, and the game becomes just as much about escape and maneuvering as it is about painting.
Emergency with service.
So, you're being shot at and bombed and all sorts of nasty things while you do your business, and how cool will you be when you're dead? You have to escape, but to do that you have to keep a level head. The music keeps you grooving through the whole experience, and it takes the edge off while you're scrambling for a safe place and a place to restock. So the music ends up being sort of a pressure release valve. And additionally, the music takes the form of chase music, something you would hear during like an action movie where the hero is trying to escape the oppressive antagonist. This leads us into the cool. And I mean, as silly as the story is, it's still pretty clear the main focus is on rebelling youth and sticking it to the establishment. I can't speak for teenagers nowadays, but when this game originally came out, my generation was all about expression, individualism, and trying to be as unique as possible. And if any game took that theme and ran with it, it was fucking Jet Set Radio. I identified with the individualistic messages the game presented, and honestly I just felt cool as hell playing it. It introduced me to hip-hop during a time where the genre was really starting to diversify, and it showed me a lot of musical stylings I had never heard before.
What's going on? What's going on? What? I don't understand what's going on here.
So we had the chase music, the game made you feel cool, and now we come to funky. And what I mean by that is the game is just weird. It comes at a time where our main skating series around this era was the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series, and that was a completely different animal. And I mean, the Tony Hawk games were kind of weird too. They're over-the-top skating games, whatever, but Jet Set Radio came in and it was just fucking totally out there. It had the new graphical style, it had the different music, and up to that point, all we had to compare it to was the American-developed skating series. And what I'm trying to say is that this game is just different, and I wish I could see more of that sort of thing nowadays. And as far as the music goes, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. There's not a whole lot that can be discussed aside from repeating it's unique over and over again. And it's really what this game brought to the table, and I think it should be commended for it. It was originally released on the Dreamcast as Jet Grind Radio, but nowadays you can pick it up on PlayStation 3, 360, and Steam, where it got a recent HD re-release. There's also a sequel, which is also excellent. I urge you to pick it up. The soundtrack is also available on iTunes, but that one isn't very comprehensive because it doesn't come with the tracks that Sega doesn't have the license to, so it's missing a few songs, but it's still worth checking out. If you're hearing this, thank you so much for listening to the end. I appreciate it, it means so much to me, you have no idea. Do that YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share, business, and give me feedback. Let me know how I'm doing, what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and all that stuff. Just thank you for watching, I appreciate it so much. Thank you.